Welcome to the Hershey Podcast.
With myself, January.
And myself, Brandon.
So today we're going to be talking about something I've been wanting to discuss on the podcast for a while. And I've made mention of it quite a few times. And that is healing isn't linear.
No, it is not.
And it's a little bit more of a deeper conversation, but we'll see where it goes. But I think it's a necessary conversation to start and to keep having, because healing also isn't like a one and done type deal.
No, it is not.
It's a continuous flow, and we'll get into that in a minute. But before we get into that, I want to mention our sponsor for today's episode.
And who would that be?
That would be Doula Trainings International.
Aha.
Some of you have heard us talk about them before and how much I absolutely love the founders and the program and the community. But Doula Trainings International, also known as DTI, is an educational body and professional community certifying doulas, birth educators, and lactation specialists. They believe today's birth workers deserve an accessible and appealing learning environment. I love that word choice. One that is positive, inclusive, and provides a quality experience. And you all know that I'm all about those positive vibes, so I love that. But beyond that, they are a movement, a community, and with a purpose. Do you know that their community is 80,000 and growing? Isn't that incredible?
Wow. No,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So beyond their
It's
courses,
impressive.
it is. Beyond their courses, DTI is also an international network of doulas united as advocates for social justice, reproductive justice, and professional growth. Together, they're on a mission to revolutionize the birth world. And I will say that I think they're doing a fantastic job at doing that. So if you want to learn more about DTI, you can go to wearedti.com. And I know that Gina and Tara are always available to answer any questions. Their emails are on their website. And we'll also put that in the show notes as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get into healing isn't linear.
Okay.
So I had seen some artwork by an artist one time, and it had that slogan on it. I'm not sure if there's somebody credited to that actual saying or not, but I think many of us can relate to it. And when you first see that, it's kind of this deep breath, aha moment. Because I think many people who are on a journey of healing, whether it be physical, mental, emotional healing, it can be very, very frustrating because you feel like, where do I begin? And then when you figure out how to begin for you, you can get frustrated with how that journey is going, or you think that you've made progress and then something sets you back, and it is so difficult, and you can feel very alone in that. And so seeing something like that is like, oh, okay, let me take a breath, and it's okay that I've messed up, or it's okay that I feel like I've taken a few steps back, because this isn't going to be a straight line or perfectly climbed mountain and you see the sunrise or sunset and everything's perfect. That's not the way it works. So
Sounds like you're describing someone familiar.
I'm actually thinking about everyone who's commented on any posts I've done about this, or anyone I've talked about. Does it resonate?
Yeah. That's pretty much me.
Do you feel like I'm talking about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's frustrating. I'm not going to lie. Because you want to get better. You want to heal. With whatever it is. I mean, maybe it's a physical ailment, maybe it is a mental illness, whatever it may be, and it just takes time. Anything worth having in life just takes time, and it's not fun. It's not fun for us impatient people.
No, most
chronically impatient is what I would describe myself.
Chronically impatient. I wonder if that's a hashtag.
I don't know, but I might coin that term.
I think that's just human nature. I think many of us are chronically impatient. You know, I'm sure most people listening can think of an example in their life where they have felt this or could relate to it. And there's many different examples we could give, but a quick one is on the physical side, like my gallbladder, it was advised to take it out. It has caused me severe pain and a lot of frustration. And I have been dealing with that for 3.5 years. And I would think that I made progress and was healing, and then something would happen stress-wise, or I would eat something wrong, and then I feel like I'm starting at square one again. And it's like, oh my gosh. And you have to eat every single day. So it's like every single day I'll be worried about this and trying to make progress. And then I remember that I thought I had been making progress, and then it actually got way worse, over a year ago, before it actually truly started to get better. So, it can be frustrating with, chronic illness or an ailment that you're going through. And then of course there's mental health, which is a whole other beast, which is how you relate to it, very much so.
Absolutely. It's brutal because, for example, I found some providers that have really helped me quite a bit over the last few months. And I felt like I was making some really good improvement. And I feel like I had a little bit of a setback the last couple of weeks, and it's really frustrating. I know some people who listen to our podcast, who follow me on Instagram, saw my little, I don't know what you would call it, my hissy fit or whatever.
I wouldn't call it little, and I wouldn't call it a hissy fit. I think I would call it a big breakthrough and completely vulnerable and relatable post for many people. Maybe that's how it felt to you at the time, but and for those of you who aren't familiar, Brandon has shared on our podcast before his journey with bipolar 2 disorder and the ups and downs with that, and he has shared a little bit about it online, and so that's what he's referring to right now. In the last few years, there's been suicidal tendencies as well, so it's been scary. And like you said, you feel like you make this great progress and you find some great care providers. You're like, yes, like I'm feeling great. Like I'm going to totally beat this. And then something either in therapy comes up, or maybe even something unexpected triggers something. And then it's like a spiral. And I think what's even harder is when you get to a place of feeling better and then there's an unexpected setback, it's 1,000 times harder than before.
Oh, yeah. And I would liken this to patients in a chiropractic office, because someone comes in, I adjust them for the first time, and then they feel great. They're like, wow, like, what have I been missing? And then they come in a day or two later and they feel worse. And they're
like, what have you done to me?
Yeah, they're like, what did you do? And it's like, no, you actually felt what it feels like to feel good.
Right.
And
your body is shifting and things are changing and things are improving.
Right.
But it's uncomfortable.
Right. And it's going to shift and improve just for a short time at first. Like you have to train your body to hold the adjustment for longer and longer periods of time. And so after that first adjustment, you feel great, but then maybe a day or two later, it slips back out of place everywhere. That's what happens. And so they know what it feels like to feel good. So when they go back to feeling like how they used to feel, it feels actually worse.
Right.
It feels like the problem's been exacerbated, and it's not. It's just they know what it feels like to feel good. And I feel like the last few months, I've learned what it feels like to feel good and healthy mentally again. So last couple of weeks threw me for a loop.
Right.
And anyone who struggles with any kind of mental disorder or illness, bipolar disorder, depression, anything of the sort, you know what I'm talking about. So
right.
It's no fun.
And I have been mentioning lately how quotes are all great and dandy in a little square on Instagram, but the reality of it isn't always so lovely, right? And so we can say healing is not linear. It's like, oh yeah, I relate to that. But what does that look like in real life? That looks messy. It looks frustrating. It looks heartbreaking. And it looks lonely. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Lonely. I did a Instagram live, I think at this point 2 weeks ago, discussing this and how we were going to do an episode on it. And that was something that many people said in the comments during the live, is it just can feel so lonely. And that is the most frustrating feeling when, I think that's the word of the day, frustration. It can be a really sad feeling to, even if you're surrounded by people, you feel alone, especially when it comes to mental health or mental illness, because you are literally the only person in your mind, right? There's nobody else in your mind with you. So you really are alone, actually. But this is why it's really important to you're going to have to change your support system in your inner circle, right? Because you feel alone. And if you are going to start healing, you're going to do a few things. Let's talk about a few things. You're going to need to shift your expectations, right? Like you can't have the same expectations in life when anything changes. When you go from 0 to 1 kid, 1 to 2 kids, we talked about this on our early episode on the podcast, your expectations have to shift. And I don't like saying lower expectations because it has a negative connotation to it. So we have to shift our expectations. And when you are healing, you have to shift your expectations. You may need to rest more. You may need to be more organized. You may have to actually let go of trying to control everything, so you're going to have to shift those expectations of yourself and maybe even those around you, and what your expectations are.
Which direction do you shift those expectations?
One day it might be left and one day it might be right. And the next day you might just zigzag back and forth. I find that life is a lot of zigzagging.
No kidding.
Right. Like, what? That didn't work. Let's go this way.
Yeah, it's like life is Ramsey Bolton, has his arrow knocked and ready to shoot, and you're running across the field to get to Jon Snow, and
we're gonna go there.
You got to zig and zag.
Yeah, you have to zig and zag for sure. So yeah, zig and zag your expectations. I actually really like that. Because
if you don't, life is gonna nail you right in the back with that arrow.
You're not bitter at all.
No.
So you're gonna have to shift your
bitter with life right now.
You're gonna have to shift your expectations. Shift your expectations. And when you shift your expectations, you're going to start to also find different perspectives, right? Because we all have our own perspective on life, conversations, situations. And as you start healing, you're shifting your expectations, you start seeing things from a different perspective. And then you're going to, at some point in your healing journey, start setting boundaries. Boundaries with yourself, boundaries with those around you, boundaries, all the way from yourself through your inner circle to your outer circle to, everyone, which also means that you might start with the shift of expectations and different perspectives, see how some of your relationships are toxic, whether it's toxic family, which is a whole other episode, and toxic friendships, toxic work environment, whatever that may look like for you. And so we're shifting expectations, we're having a different perspective, and now you need to set boundaries and you need to release toxic relationships. And you might be the toxic person in those relationships, which is why you're trying to heal. So all of this is going on, and this is going to cause a change in your circle and your support system, which just leads me back to the lonely thing. It's really full circle, the loneliness. And so I think that, and I want to say too, and maybe this is probably more for you to say, but even if you have the best support in the entire world, you're still going to have times of feeling alone.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when it's hardest, I think.
Oh, because you feel isolated. You feel like there's no one around you that knows what you're going through. And in some cases, in the situation you're in, that may be the case. I know it feels like that way for me when I'm going through a difficult time, because what's going on in my mind is unique to me, and it's hard for you to understand where I'm coming from, and vice versa. And it's no fun. It's no fun being in that position.
So what do you feel about shifting expectations when you're on a healing journey?
I think it's good advice. I think it's necessary, and it's something that I've been learning to do as well. I feel like I'm constantly having to shift these expectations that I have of myself.
That's what I was going to say, is that I think that's what you've realized is that's where a lot of, we might think we have to shift expectations or give grace to other people, but really we find that it's the expectations we're putting on ourselves and the not giving grace to ourselves and the not loving of ourselves, those kind of things.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is I get caught in this trap of we talk about it often between you and me about talking in absolutes. Like, this happens all the time or never again or those sort of comments. And I tend to put this pressure on myself, like I'm going to do whatever it takes to never be depressed again. And then the depression hits, and then it's like 1,000 times worse than what it would be because I feel like I failed because I was determined to not feel that way again. And here I am feeling that way. And I'm a loser and I'm worthless and I failed. And what's the point? And it is brutal and it's lonely. And it's a very, very dark place to be in. And so it's one of the big takeaways that I've actually had to remember these past couple of weeks, because I was doing really well and was really excited about it. And it just kind of came out of nowhere, it seems like.
I think that healing and absolutes are like oil and water. Like you can't have absolutes.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, you really can't. It just doesn't work.
No.
Because it's going to shift and change and, ebb and flow. And yeah, you and absolutes.
Oh, I know.
I have to remind you regularly when you.
Well, and it really kind of goes for anyone. Like none of us can predict what's going to happen years from now. Like, yeah, we can say we're never going to do something, but for me personally, the minute I say never, that's like the universe's way of making sure that that's going to happen at some point.
You just asked to get bitch slapped by Murphy and his law. Like Murphy's law is going to show up and it is true. Anytime you've ever said never, it's like then that happens at some point.
Yeah, and so that goes back to we've talked about meditation in the past, and it forces you to sit and be still in the moment and to be present in the moment, and I think that's big for me, is to focus on right now and focus on today. Like I can't say that I'm never going to do this or do that again in my life, but all I can do is focus on today and say, you know what, I'm determined to make today a good day, as good a day as I can. And I'm not going to react this way. I'm not going to do these things. So
instead of focusing on absolutes or the big picture, you have to focus on the moment and focus on today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I sleep 6 or 7 hours a night, I feel like I can handle 17 or 18 hours at a time. Like, okay.
I think this definitely goes for anxiety as well, which is something that I've struggled with.
Like I said, any mental illness.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is huge for anxiety. So something that I do a lot, like if during the times my anxiety has been worse than others, instead of, you start feeling overwhelmed, like I can't handle all this. I can't do this. I can't do that. And something for you is, like everything's working against me. That's something that you deal with is everything's working against me. And I deal with, it's just too much. There's too much on my plate. There's too much on my shoulders. I can't handle all this, and then I start regretting past decisions, and then I start getting, down about stuff. And so what I do is I shift my thinking over to, instead of it's too much and I can't do all this today, to what can I do today? What can I get done? And it may be one of the 30 things I think I need to do, but you know what? Let me just focus on that one. And then when I do that one thing and clear that out, it tends to clear mental space and mental energy and a little bit of anxiety to then handle something else I can handle. So that's a way I shift my thinking and my expectations and my perspective. That's just an example. Do you find that you have on your healing journey and shifting expectations that you have been able to see different perspectives?
I am working on that. Okay. I think I get caught in the trap of being really focused on getting better, just me. And I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know if it's self-centered or if it's, I don't know.
Maybe self-preservation?
Self-preservation. I'm not sure. But
look, I'm always giving you the nicer words.
Yeah. You're
welcome.
You miss vocabulary tonight.
No.
Miss Thesaurus.
No, I'm just positive. I think that words are really powerful. So when you say self-centered, that has a very negative vibe to it, a very negative connotation.
But when
you say self-preservation, that's a positive thing, right?
For everyone, that's an example right there of how hard I am on myself, because I'm always, when it comes to myself, I tend to think of things in the negative light, and I'm pretty brutal on myself. So, so I try and focus on self-preservation, not being self-centered. Although I have been self-centered many times in my life.
Yes. If you guys could see his face, it was actually really hard for you to say that.
Yeah, it is. It's really hard to talk nice to myself.
It's interesting.
I have that issue.
So do you think that the shifting of expectations obviously has to come before the different perspectives can even happen then? Like you have to start to heal. Yeah. So the perspectives may come later. So,
but I'm starting to take into account everyone else's perspective around me, which is, you and the kids, and I'm not the greatest at it yet, but I'm conscious of it. And so that's a victory.
Right. Yeah, it is.
It's better
Every
than
little
nothing.
thing is a victory. I mean, that goes right back into the healing isn't linear, but that means there's like these ups and downs, right? Like it's like a roller coaster, up and down, or mountain peaks, up and down, up and down. And so those little victories are those ups, and those are those peaks, and those count too.
It's like those graphics you see of entrepreneur memes, what the road to success looks like, and you have these like nice smooth lines going up, and then success is up, and then real low, then real high, then down a little bit, then up a little bit, then big drop, and then a big up, and that's how healing is, and that's really how anything is that you're working towards, whether it's success in business or a more clear mind. It's those drops sometimes really suck, but then those highs are really awesome. So it's just the way it is.
Yeah. And that's the thing with life though, that everything's impermanent, and you're going to have moments of really good, and you just need to enjoy those in the moment while you can. And then you have the lows, and hopefully you have the right support system around you, and you can kind of wade through those. What are your thoughts on, not necessarily just on your journey, but just in general when it comes to healing and boundaries? And this is huge for me. I don't know, maybe I should talk about it.
Yeah, maybe you should start.
Yeah, so I talk about boundaries a lot on Instagram, and boundaries are interesting because we have to set boundaries for ourselves, especially when we're healing. We also have to respect other people's boundaries when they're healing, and it's really difficult. And so that's very humbling, because then you realize, both sides of it. But I find a few things with setting boundaries, and this is from a lot of messing up. And that is, you can set boundaries without drama. It's really hard not to defend yourself. It's really hard you can be hurt by what people say or what people do, but our power is in our reactions. So I reaffirm to myself all day, every day, that I control no one but me, that my power is in my actions and reactions, that I am better than no one else. I am my best version of me. So these are my meditative affirmations that are very special to me, and that I actually repeat in my head all day long. And they help me a lot with grounding myself. They help me, especially the last part, with ego. And it helps me a lot with, I have a lot of toxic family, and I have a spouse who has bipolar 2 disorder. So it's really important for me to remind myself that I control no one but me, and that my power is in my actions and reactions. So when it comes to setting boundaries, we can do it in a very clear and concise way, without making jabs, without creating more drama. And then most of the time, especially if you're dealing with anybody toxic or anybody who just doesn't understand boundaries, and many times people aren't being malicious or have ill intent. They just have never learned what a healthy boundary looks like. And so they react to it, and they react negatively, and they don't have these great affirmations they're saying in their head all day long because they're not following January on Instagram. So they push back, they react, and they push back. But see, that's their reaction. You still get to be in control of your reaction, even to other people's reactions. So if I set a boundary and somebody reacts in a negative way, I don't have to react at all. I've set that boundary, or I can reinforce that boundary. And that may look like something like, I am not in the mental space to have this conversation. I love you. And you walk away. Or it may be just not responding, or it may just be repeating what you said. I have found sometimes I have to treat family members or other adults like a toddler. Like I just have to keep repeating myself until they get tired of asking me again or pushing back again, and then sometimes you got to put them in timeout. Like you're in timeout. That's my boundary, So I have found with setting boundaries that people will push back, and that's okay. And that I don't have to cause drama with my boundaries, and that my actions and reactions are where my power is. And it's okay not to talk to people. It's okay to walk away. Just because somebody is family does not give them the right to be hurtful or controlling or derail your healing, right? So I have found that I feel okay with stepping away from any relationship that is toxic or that I am finding. And, I've tried talking with people and working things out, and it gets to a point sometimes in a friendship or relationship where you're like, okay, this is not, whoa, like I jumped into this in relationship, or I've had this relationship for a long time, and now that I'm healing and shifting my expectations and seeing things from a different perspective, this person is not. They're not on a healing journey. They're not whatever. And I can't make them see that. And if you have a conversation with someone and it's the same old crap that you're actually trying to clear out and heal, and they're not seeing it, sometimes the only thing you can do is just step away, right?
Absolutely.
And I have found that a few people in my life, we've come back together and have grown on our own, and then we can grow more together. I have found more often than not that's not the case, and that's okay. We're not meant to have every single person in our life forever. Friendships and relationships have seasons as well, and that's okay. So that's how I feel about boundaries and healing. They're absolutely necessary. Absolutely necessary. And I completely support any of you who have been setting boundaries and are getting negative pushback. Just to hold strong on those boundaries. Don't cause more drama, and don't react if you don't have to. If you have to, fine. If you have to for your own safety, mentally or physically, absolutely.
Yeah, that's actually one thing I was going to add, is that setting the boundary is great, but then you have to be completely willing to follow through
Right.
with it. And good examples with any of our kids who have been toddlers, I tend to say, if you do that again, then you have to go to timeout. And then, of course, or something like that. Then, of course, they will obviously do it again because they're toddlers and that's what they do. And so I have to get up and enforce, follow through and pick them up and carry them up to their room and put them in timeout. And you have to do the same sometimes with adult family members. Or
put them in timeout?
Yeah, put them in timeout.
Put ourselves in timeout?
Maybe they need a permanent timeout. And
that's just removing.
That just happens.
Like you just have to, a lot of times boundaries is like removing something from someone from your space. I talk a lot about this with preparing for birth. Like you make a supportive bubble around you, and anyone who is supportive of you, they get to be in your bubble, in your inner circle. And anyone who is not supportive of you, your education, your choices, and your journey, they get a throat punch out. And that needs to apply to postpartum and to life in general. Like you're either here for this, you're either here for me, or you're not. And unfortunately, most people will not remove themselves. They'll stay and like stir shit. And so you have to be the one to be like, oh, no. You're not staying here. Like I need to show you the door. Like, you know, so that's just life. That's just the way it is. And that's okay. And I think for me, like I'm an empath. I'm a healer. Like I want to heal everyone. I want everyone to be happy. And that has caused me many problems when I don't have that plus boundaries. And it's taken me most of my life to figure that out and to hold fast and strong to that. And so I can still be an empath and a healer and a lover, but with healthier boundaries. And that's better for everyone. That's better for me. That's better for everyone else. And so I find boundaries to be particularly important. But the kids is a good example. Like if you act in this certain way or you do this certain thing, this is your consequence. And then when it happens, you can't just be like, oh, I'm too tired to follow through, because that's me. And
that's me now too.
Yeah. And
we
it's
are
like
almost
you
40.
have to have that follow through so they know, oh wait, they're serious. So if somebody mistreats you and you say, if you do whatever, then you can't be around me or my family, my children. When they do that, you have to follow through on that. And so that's the thing with healing and setting boundaries is it's not always beautiful. Like it can be messy and heartbreaking and frustrating and again, lonely. And so, you know, there's so many layers to becoming a healthier person, especially if you're somebody who is breaking generational cycles. It is very difficult, and the amount of dedication you have to the process of healing and doing things differently and holding fast to those boundaries is incredible. It's a lot. It's
feels like too much sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
Sometimes having your inner circle really small and tight is actually what you really need, because you just need those few people that you can count on and they can count on you, right?
Yeah. So. And that's kind of how it is for a lot of people, and they just might not realize it. But a lot of times it's maybe just like one or two other people, maybe three that you can really count on, and
right.
The rest you can't. And a lot of times, one other thing I was going to add is with the boundaries is sometimes it may feel like it's hard to set boundaries with blood relatives, and sometimes those are the people you have to set the strongest boundaries with and really be willing to follow through. Especially
if you're growing, because family tends to see family the way people were when they were children or teenagers or young adults. So like we moved away and stepped away, and I had a lot of growth, especially the last few years. I mean, me at 36 and me at 39 are it's like so different. Yeah. And I love it. And I was talking with my aunt, we were eating Thai food, and I was talking about how much I changed, and she's like, you have changed so much. And I just stopped her and I said, thank you. Like, thank you for validating that, because I have worked really fucking hard for that. Like, to look in the mirror and to become self-aware is really hard and painful. And to admit when you are wrong, or when it's your ego, or when it's your issues and it's not everyone else around you, it's very, very difficult to do. And so I really appreciated her acknowledging that. But, you know, so I had to step away and then come back and grow. But a lot of times family are the people who will not acknowledge that growth and will not respect that growth. Right. So yeah, that's really difficult. And so with your healing and you're setting boundaries, you may feel like even though you're doing the right thing, you feel guilty. You feel guilty for setting these boundaries. And so when you feel guilty, acknowledge that feeling and then remember your why, Remember why you're setting that boundary and what the consequences are going to be if you allow guilt to change that, and think about where you're going to be in a year or 5 or 10 years and where you want that relationship to be and where you want to be in your growth. Or think about your children when they're teenagers. What do you want for them? Do you want the same thing you had, or do you want something different? So you have to remember your why, especially in those moments of vulnerability or loneliness or sadness, extra depression, anxiety, and guilt. Remember your why. Find better support. Speaking of, that's going to be, what are you smiling at?
Oh, I think what you're saying is great.
Oh, thanks. Speaking of finding the right support, that's going to, again, be different for everyone. You may have a partner who's super supportive, or a parent or grandparent who's really supportive. You may have no one. And so you need to look for local support groups. There are free support groups. There are free crisis and hotlines. I know that's not like long-term support, but there's even, apps with therapists now if you can't, afford, or you can't get to a therapist all the time. And then of course there is therapy, and there are doctors, and there are things like that, but everyone's situation is different. Everyone's, finances are different. And so that's going to look different at each moment. So for you, it might be finding that one person for now, or it might be finding, using a hotline, or finding a local support group, or, whatever it is, you have to find that support to have when you're going through that process.
You need a team around you. And that's what I've come to realize. And I have that now. And it's really nice to be able to turn to certain people who are specialists in one particular area, and they can coach me through something. And I tend to have this personality of wanting to do it all myself. It's like I'm a little kid, like, no, I can do it. That's how I've always been. And as I'm getting older, yeah, I need to be put in timeout often. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing that no, I can't do it all myself anymore, or never have been able to do it all myself. And so now I have been able to humble myself enough to turn to the right people in different areas for their knowledge and their expertise. And
you also have me, who reminds you that you promised not just me and your doctor, but you promised yourself that you would follow through and you would continue that, and so again, that goes back to that support system. Like, it takes kind of everyone, especially if you're going through like a serious healing like journey. So, everyone in that support system. But here's the thing, like what you're talking about, wanting to do it all by yourself. So many people relate to that. I think that's like a general mom feeling too. But that's exhausting.
It is exhausting. I think with a lot of moms, they feel like they have to do it by themselves.
Right.
Whereas for me, it's like this, I have like this almost insidious rebelliousness that I've just always had, where it's like, I refuse to do what other people tell me. I'm going to do it my way. And that has caused me no end of problems throughout my life. And I have learned the hard way so many times.
Right.
And I'm starting to realize that, maybe I don't want to learn the hard way so much. Maybe I actually want to reach out and get assistance or help or support in various ways. And I've been doing that, and sometimes with some reminders from you as well, because it's like a new thing for me.
Yeah, it is. A lot of people brought up not only that it's lonely, but it's exhausting to be, that healing isn't linear, but it's also exhausting. And I think this is really where the self-care comes into play. We live in a society that doesn't know how to rest, and resting equals laziness.
Oh my gosh. That's like one of the main things I say in my mind.
Right. So, which isn't the way we're supposed to be. I look to our children a lot. When they're not feeling well, they rest. When they're tired, most of the time, they rest. But especially when a child isn't feeling well, like when they're sick, like, do they try to work? No. Are they doing their chores? No. They're resting. And my kids are such a great example to me in this way, and in many ways actually, but this is one of the main ways. As I started realizing this over the years, that when I'm sick, I can't rest, but there are times we can rest and we truly choose not to. And I do feel that we really believe we can't rest, but that's a fucking lie. Like, your brain is lying to you. You can rest. You can rest. You absolutely can.
You hear that, brain?
Yeah,
you're lying to me.
You liar.
Son of a bitch.
You need to set a boundary with your brain.
Stupid brain.
You are in time out. I'm resting, right? Doesn't that sound good?
Stupid bipolar brain.
I'm going to start telling you that. Put your brain in a timeout. It needs to rest. That's actually really fantastic.
Let's slap my brain around.
But it's true, we need to be able to rest. And it's, especially when you're trying to heal physically or mentally or emotionally, and you're on whatever kind of journey you're on or whatever season you're in, you have to practice a little bit, even if it's just a little bit of self-care for that self-preservation, because it's exhausting. And I say this time and again, but that serves no one. It does not serve anyone for you to be a martyr. It does not serve anyone for you to be exhausted, and it will not help you on your healing journey. It is absolutely necessary to rest and to care for yourself. Otherwise, you're just going to keep taking triple the steps back that you are forward. So it is necessary to rest. Take care of yourself. Do something you enjoy. For example, Brandon's really gotten into playing guitar the last few months. And writing again, and things like that. So allow yourself to rest. And if you don't know what resting even feels like or looks like, and you don't know what you enjoy anymore, then step back and pause and give that some time and some thought, and make some notes or journal about it, or talk it out with a friend or your therapist. But it's exhausting to be on a journey like this, and it's exhausting to deal with any kind of physical or mental health issues. And you have to rest. I'm going to keep saying it. You have to rest. You just do.
Yeah, you do.
Sleep deprivation itself causes so many issues. Oh, it's actually, there is science, there are studies, and it's actually very, very scary, the level of sleep deprivation in our country, in our societies. I know it's not just our country. There are studies done where people are truly falling asleep for a few seconds at a time when they're driving, because everyone is so go, 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 go. Gotta work, gotta go to school, gotta get this, gotta get that, gotta get this degree, gotta get this certification, gotta get this accolade, this whatever. And
there was a study that came out not too long ago, maybe last year or the year before, about how people who are sleep deprived, it's almost like they have their mind is acting the same as if they were drunk.
Yeah.
So if you're sleep deprived and you're driving.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because I feel like if you're trying to heal and rest, I was going to say you need to rest, and y'all stop drinking. I've never said it that way before, but alcohol is literally fuel for anxiety. Doesn't help with depression. So the self-care is super, super important when you're healing, and you need to rest. You need to not put things into your body or into your space that are going to hinder your healing. I didn't truly start healing mentally and physically until I stopped drinking in March. It was once I did that, and then I got past the 3 months and now 6-month mark, it's my body is just it's almost like this, can really truly get in and start healing. I'm resting more, meditating more, setting more boundaries in all parts of my life with everyone and everything, not drinking, and, eating more consistently. There's all these things we need to do, and that can feel overwhelming, because you're I do this, and you and I have talked about this. I do this, and I still feel this way. And in those moments, it's okay, take a step back and allow yourself to have a little something, rest more, or for me, the last few weeks, have a Diet Coke, or, whatever. So, again, it's that ebb and flow, and healing isn't linear. I find times in my healing where I have to track what I'm doing, what I'm eating, work out a little more, not just for my physical health, but my mental health. And then after a few weeks, I find that I'm about to go too far the other way. So I have to rein it back in and then give myself a little bit of a break, So it's not going to be this straight, perfect line. Like you cannot write lists and plan this all out.
No,
you can't make a flow chart of your healing. I mean, you can. And then you're going to feel like a fucking failure because
like a little weird.
That shit's not going to go that way. It's just not going to go that way. Like you have to just embrace the journey that it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, real quick, it's kind of like birth. Birth is super unpredictable. So you make a birth plan and you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get through this way. And then it's completely unpredictable. And you just have to go through it. Like you can't skip the struggle. Like you literally have to just bust through that shit and you have to just blaze through the path because you can't skip it. But when the birth is done, the birth experience is done, now you have hindsight, you have the birth experience and the birth story, and either it's a wonderful birth story you share or it's a birth story you need to heal from or whatever it is. But that's kind of, for me, I feel like that's kind of like healing. Like you can plan the healing, you can get the support, but it's going to be unpredictable and it's going to have turns and zigzags and change of plans. You've had quite a few change of plans, different care providers, different course of action, different plan for whatever the health is, whether it's physical or mental health. And you're not going to know till you're on the other side of it what that experience really is. You won't be able to share that, the birth of your healing, until you're actually through it and on the other side.
Well, what I was going to say is fairly unimportant after those inspirational words.
I doubt it's unimportant, so please share it because I'm sure somebody needs to hear it.
Well, one thing I was going to bring up is that when you are struggling with something like depression or anxiety or cycles with bipolar disorder or bipolar 2 disorder, there is a lot of sleep deprivation that happens when you're in the midst of it. And something for me on a very small level is the last few days I've been planning get up early and go to the gym, but I've had a rough couple of weeks and there hasn't been a lot of sleep when I've needed it. So it's almost like subconsciously my body is just forcing me to rest and find other things to do. And I haven't worked out in a few days because I think my body has just needed the rest and I've needed the rest, and my body's not up for one of my brutally intense workouts I put myself through. And
right. It's interesting because on another similar note, I will think I have to work. I have to get this done. I have to get this done. I have to get this done. And then if I'm just exhausted and not getting it done, then I start getting anxiety about it. Like people are going to start getting frustrated. I'm going to start getting emails. I'm going to start getting this. I'm going to start getting that. And I can't believe I didn't get this done. And I wanted to get this done a week ago. And I was feeling that way today. And I woke up this morning, I had a lot of anxiety this morning, and I was feeling just like, oh God, like, why am I feeling this way? And then I stepped back and I was like, I'm allowed to rest. Like, I'm allowed to rest today. And tonight, after I've rested and after the kids are in bed, if I want to get organized to get on top of things tomorrow, I can do that. And I did tonight. I actually really did do that. And through my resting today, I came to some really amazing epiphanies and some creative flow that happened. And so I find when I step back and I rest, that's where my creativity flows. That's where I have a lot of realizations and aha moments. So the rest isn't lazy. The rest is actually where the true innate work probably happens.
it is.
Yeah. So the rest is like, that's the cool shit, So allow yourself that rest and that reprieve and let yourself start flowing the way, your inner self really wants to flow again.
I rested last couple days and I've written 2 new songs on the guitar. So
that's cool. See?
Yeah. The rest gets the creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
Sure.
So here's your permission to rest, you guys. Okay. Like allow yourself that rest. So that's mostly my list of things to go over. I know there are so many things that could be talked about. So this is just probably the tip of the healing iceberg, so there's lots of icebergs. They're all over the place and they pop up unexpectedly, and that's okay. We're stronger than the Titanic. So we will get through the sea of icebergs, but I know there's a lot of other things to talk about. I don't know if is there anything else on your mind that you want to add to how healing isn't linear?
I don't have anything else to add.
Do you like my iceberg analogy? We're stronger than the Titanic.
They're building a new Titanic.
That. They are. I will not be going on it.
No, I don't have. Yeah.
That's just bad juju. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
It'll never sink.
So you guys, real quick before we wrap up, I want to give you guys a few book and event announcements. The book is still coming out March 5th. You can still pre-order it. The pre-orders help tremendously. It's going to help our voice get heard more. And you can visit birthwithoutfearblog.com or harshi.blog for all the different places to buy it. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all these different places. Anywhere books are sold, you can pre-order it. So that's super exciting. As far as events for next year, every event I do, the book will come with tickets, and we're not raising the prices of tickets. So that's really exciting. And we just added Long Island and Hartford, Connecticut. And we are adding this week, I say it wrong, Saskatoon. Did I say
Nope,
it right?
You said it correctly.
Yes. Saskatchewan. Is that how you say it? How do you say
Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Yes. That is, I cannot believe it. That's
one of my
that's exciting.
Classmates from chiropractic school is from Saskatoon.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm making the announcement officially by the time this podcast episode comes out, and the tickets are opening this week. So look for that if you're anywhere in that area. And there's some talk about Michigan event happening. But if you guys want an event in your community, you have to reach out to me, DM me on Instagram, because the only way to make these happen now is if there are people locally that can help me make it happen, because Facebook and Instagram just shut down those posts now big time. Like the algorithms are like tight now. So, and for those of you that are coming to Australia, I'll be posting this announcement as well by the time this episode comes out. And that is, the dates are changing. So we decided to come to Melbourne and Brisbane and Perth in February. And in the meantime, I have been really advocating for the Birth Without Fear book to be released at the same time as it is in the US and Canada. And I had no confirmation of that until recently. And after a lot of persistence, the confirmation is here that the book is going to be released at the same time with our publishers in Australia. So this doesn't make sense to travel 8,000 plus miles 1 month before the book comes out if it's now going to come out there. So for those of you that are signed up for any of those conferences, the dates are changing. I've posted about them on Birth Without Fear, on January Harshi, on Instagrams, and the event pages on Facebook. So check that out. And there's options for transferring tickets if you can't make the new dates. And this also means that if you did not get a ticket to these sold out conferences, we're going to be opening more tickets. So if you are in Australia, pay attention to that after you hear this.
And you get a book with your ticket in Australia. Just so you know.
You will not. Yeah. So for those of you that already signed up and have tickets, you will now get a book with your ticket at no extra cost.
Signed book.
Yes. And new speakers being announced.
Yes.
So lots of exciting things with Australia that have been and are being announced. So I think that's it for announcements.
So Australia will now be part of the Birth Without Fear book tour.
Yes. Isn't that cool?
The global book tour.
It is now a global book tour. Canada, Australia.
And you're going to London.
Oh my gosh. I knew I was forgetting. So how could I forget? London in June, you guys. London in June. People are not seeing these posts too. So if you are going to any of these or you're near them, or even if you're not, please share and tag. But yeah, London in June. You can see the full schedule on bwfconference.com, the new Australia tour dates and any upcoming cities or added cities. bwfconference.com.
Yes, indeed.
All right, you guys.
It's exciting.
Until next time.
Adios.
Love ya.